There is a kind of silence that speaks louder than any voice, a silence that doesn't come from the absence of sound, but from the absence of distractions. Carl Jung believed that until you're alone, truly alone, you can never really hear yourself. Not the version of you that pleases others, not the mask you wear in public, but the self that whispers beneath the noise, the self you've buried under obligation, ambition, performance. Solitude is not loneliness. It's a return to something ancient and raw that lives inside you, forgotten in the chaos of daily life. But we fear solitude. We avoid it, because we've been taught that being alone means being unwanted, that solitude is a punishment. So we fill every gap with noise, notifications, entertainment, people, never realizing we're drowning the very voice that could lead us home. Jung's truth is simple but brutal. You will never be whole if you keep running from yourself. Wholeness isn't built by adding more, it's revealed by stripping away. And solitude is the fire that burns away everything you are not. When you sit in silence, when you stop performing, when no one is watching, you begin to see what's been hidden. You begin to meet the parts of yourself you've ignored, rejected, or never even knew existed. But this process is not peaceful. It's violent, not in sound, but in feeling. Because solitude doesn't just show you your light, it shows you your shadow. It holds a mirror to your wounds, your fears, your suppressed emotions. It reveals the pain you've carried so long, you forgot it wasn't part of you. And in that moment, you are tempted to run, to reach for distraction. But if you stay, if you endure, you begin to transform. What solitude reveals is not something you add to yourself. It's what you've always been, but never faced. Jung called this the process of individuation, the journey of becoming whole by integrating the conscious and unconscious mind. But integration requires confrontation, and confrontation begins in silence. In solitude, your mind stops reacting and starts revealing. The thoughts you suppress during the day rise to the surface. Old memories, unresolved guilt, forgotten dreams. They don't stay hidden forever. They wait until you're quiet enough to notice. Most people never make it this far. They abandon the process the moment it gets uncomfortable. They misinterpret this discomfort as a sign that something is wrong. But Jung saw it differently. He saw the discomfort as proof that something real was finally happening. Solitude doesn't create pain. It exposes it. It doesn't hurt you. It shows you what's already hurting inside. And only through that awareness can you begin to heal. The modern world glorifies connection. We are told that to be valuable, we must be seen. To be loved, we must be accessible. We are conditioned to fear being alone. But Jung warned us, those who never face solitude are strangers to themselves. They live as masks. They adapt. They please. They perform. But they never become. Wholeness isn't found in approval. It's found in authenticity. And authenticity is born in solitude. So the next time you feel the urge to escape your own presence, pause. Ask yourself, what am I running from? What truth is trying to surface in this silence? Because the more you avoid solitude, the more fragmented you become. You scatter yourself across people, places, and screens, trying to hold yourself together through external affirmation. But that wholeness you crave, it's not out there. It's buried deep inside, and only solitude holds the key. Solitude doesn't just connect you to yourself. It shows you what you are capable of surviving. Most people are terrified of silence, not because it's empty, but because it's full. Full of questions that don't have quick answers. Full of thoughts that can't be scrolled away. Full of truths that contradict the life you've built. And yet, this is exactly why Jung insisted on solitude as a path to wholeness. Because only in solitude do you stop lying to yourself. You begin to realize how much of your personality has been performance, how often you've said yes to avoid rejection, How many dreams you've buried because they didn't fit someone else's expectations. In solitude, those compromises are no longer masked by routine. You see them, feel them. And with that awareness, you're faced with a question far more frightening than being alone. Who would I be if I stopped pretending? Solitude is not just space. It is clarity. A mirror not tainted by the opinions of others. You begin to observe your patterns, your addictions, your self-sabotage. You begin to feel the weight of your own story, not the version you tell online, but the real one. The one with wounds, with contradictions, with rage. And still, something powerful happens. You don't just see your shadow, you begin to understand it. Jung believed that until you integrate the shadow, it will control your life from the dark. And solitude is where the shadow finally speaks. Not to shame you, but to be heard. It says, "Look at me. I'm the part of you you've been avoiding. The part that never got a voice. The part that still hurts." And when you listen, not judge, not run, just listen, you begin to change. You stop fighting yourself. You stop being two people. You start becoming one. If this journey into the mind is speaking to something deep inside you, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, because we're only just getting started. True solitude is not isolation, it's integration. When you stop splitting yourself to survive in different environments, when you stop wearing different masks for different people, something inside you softens. You begin to feel what real peace actually is, not the absence of problems, but the absence of pretending. Solitude becomes your sanctuary, not your punishment. And you start to crave silence, not to escape the world, but to return to yourself. But this process has a cost, because the more whole you become, the more you begin to lose interest in things that once defined you. Superficial conversations feel draining. Shallow relationships feel intolerable. The need to impress begins to vanish, and with it, a new kind of solitude arises. Not just being alone, but feeling alone in a world that no longer understands your silence. This is the paradox of awakening. As you become more whole, you also become more alone, but not in the way you feared. This solitude isn't loneliness, it's sovereignty. Carl Jung saw this not as regression, but as evolution. Because wholeness isn't about fitting in, it's about standing firmly in your center, regardless of who stands with you. You begin to value your own mind more than the validation of others. You stop asking for permission to exist, and you stop apologizing for being different, quiet, introspective. You realize your power was never in your ability to belong, but in your ability to remain yourself. This is the solitude Jung spoke of, not a condition to be cured, but a crucible where your fragmented parts are melted together. It's where you burn through illusions, ego, attachments, and what's left is something unshakable. You, not the version of you people approve of, not the one that wins followers or praise, but the one who can sit alone, in silence, with your shadow, and feel whole. Solitude is the birthplace of strength, not the kind of strength that demands attention or dominates a room, but the quiet, unshakable strength of someone who knows who they are. When you walk through the fire of your own silence and emerge without needing to be understood, you gain something rare: inner authority. You are no longer at the mercy of the world's expectations. You no longer bend just to belong. You no longer betray yourself for approval. This is the kind of wholeness Jung spoke of. Not perfection, not happiness, but alignment. When your outer life matches your inner truth. When you can look in the mirror and meet your own eyes without flinching. When your solitude is no longer empty, but sacred. Yet this level of self-integration doesn't just make you whole, it makes you dangerous. Because people can't manipulate someone who needs nothing from them. A person who has embraced solitude is a person who cannot be controlled. You can't shame them into compliance. You can't flatter them into betrayal. They don't play by the usual rules because they've already made peace with their own company. So the next time you feel the loneliness creep in, ask yourself, what part of me is trying to come home? What truth is asking to be heard beneath this silence? Because wholeness is not found in noise. It's not earned through applause. It's remembered piece by piece in the stillness of your own mind. And yet, even as you reclaim yourself in solitude, a deeper challenge awaits, facing the parts of you that still feel unworthy, the parts that seek control, the parts that sabotage your own peace. In our next video, we'll explore a truth most people never want to face. The very pain you keep running from is the doorway to your freedom. Carl Jung warned that what you avoid doesn't disappear. It just grows in the dark. So let me ask you this. What have you been running from in your own silence? And what would happen if you finally turned around to face it? Let me know in the comments. Because solitude is only the beginning. What comes next is shadow work.